Hello, welcome to Who Dares Rolls. I'm Mike now. Well, I'm Charlie Etheridge Nunn. I don't have the fancy titles yet, but once I let Mike out of the basement, hopefully he'll work on them for me. So, Mike's been having a lot of fun with video work and with the podcast being kind of benched for now until we work out exactly what we're going to do with it. Then I figured I ought to actually do a video of my own. I'm going to be covering mainly RPGs, although there will be a couple of board gaming bits for you board game fans as well. So, first of all, what have I been playing? Well, last year I closed out the year by playing Warmer in the Winter, a Netflix Hallmark Lifetime rom-com indie RPG. It's currently in playtest by Gameonomicon, and it's really interesting. I'm not much of a fan of that genre, unsurprisingly, I guess, being, you know, old, doughy, cis white guy. But I still kind of like them. I like them definitely more than my partner thinks I do, really, but less than her by a long shot still. The thing is, when a role-playing game has really interesting mechanics like this, it doesn't matter about the genre. It's like worldwide wrestling. I've tried to get into wrestling and I can't. I just don't get it. But I love the role-playing game Worldwide Wrestling. It's what I'm aiming to do this year. But Warmer in the Winter is it's powered by the apocalypse, so you know going in that it's going to be fiction first, that the rules are going to emulate the genre, as are the playbooks. So our game had a beloved who was the uptight control freak in a small town home again, trying to write some sort of crappy puff piece, while the hometown hero was trying to save the local ice rink, and the unscrupulous factory owner was trying to close it all down. It was charming, despite some of the group being the people I normally expect to play Fiasco and more chaotic, more brutal kind of games with. And between just the tone that was set through the rules and through all of our expectations at the start, despite having a possessed snowman as the magic of Christmas in our particular game, it was still a real joy to play. So that was really good fun. I've started a Deadlands campaign. We're about 3 sessions in, I think, at the moment, and it's been going off to a flying start. I've never played or run a Savage Worlds Adventure Edition game, and I've not run Deadlands since the 90s. I think the 90s. But it was like going home again. It was a wonderful setting. They've done a lot to modernise it, to take away things like the Confederacy, who, lest we forget, the Wii U lasted longer than, and to kind of remove that element of the Civil War still going or anything like that. One of my big highlights at the very start was that to get them to the plot, I had a train that they were on, so a literal railroad plot, and one of them dynamited that. I accidentally killed one of the group with a bottle thrown by a possessed robot bartender in a previous session, so that was, you know, great. Sorry, Ben. Then the next day he videoed a card draw to see whether or not he came back from the dead, because Deadlands is a weird cowboy world. So yeah, you might come back from the dead, and he did, which happened a couple of nights ago in our most recent session. The group have decided he's a bit weird. I mean, he was weird before, but he's even weirder now, but he's better with them than just roaming around as a kind of possessed, well, occasionally possessed zombie creature. So, good for them. And now that we're on the third full session, they've actually found the main plot, which is amazing. And I say this with no malice towards them, no negativity. I'm running the Horror of Headstone Hill, a pre-made sandbox setting, and it's amazing. It's like a Fallout game, but in a zombie and monster-filled Wild West. So they could have gone on for ages just doing side quests, just encountering all sorts of things, and still had a really wonderful time and never encountered the main plot. So I'm very excited to see what they do next. Also, one little thing that I've been doing, which is a solo RPG, is Wreck This Deck. That's upside down, but you can't tell because I've drawn on it. Wreck This Deck is a solo journaling game by Becky Annison of Black Armada. And what you do is you write in a journal about being someone who hunts demons. And you hunt demons and kind of almost like some sort of weird exorcism Pokemon trainer kind of style. You catch them. You catch them in your deck. And there are different card-based rituals that you play. So I cut this card up to scry to find out exactly who was possessed and why they were, what they were doing. Some more basic kind of spells and rituals cover looking at the area, trying to find out what's going on, like where are these demons, how can I deal with them. I've still not figured out what I'm going to do with these, which aren't really part of a normal deck, but I figure something interesting should be done with them, whether it's even just setting them on fire or what. This is the Demon Morath, who I captured by putting it in my freezer. As the game itself, for rituals, you try and pick a card and work out exactly what you're doing with it, but for the demons you need to get a bit more transgressive with playing cards in this case. So this is just a cheap Asda set, but it was really good fun ripping it apart, burning elements of it, cutting cards. You know, it's that Pandemic Legacy style sort of interesting mutilation of your deck of cards. Basically, it still has that level of excitement despite being a solo journaling role-playing game. So it's only just released on itch.io. I heartily recommend going there and getting a copy. And if you like it, they even have a Patreon where you get these games a little early. I know there's a Poirot style game called Elementary, based on Lovecraft-esque, which is reviewed on our site. And Elementary looks like it'll be a really interesting variation of that game. So that's what I've been playing, role-playing game-wise. I'll cover board games later on. I know Mike likes to do acquisitions. He kind of flails a lot more. I've not got that in me. I've not had much coffee yet. But over Christmas, I had some wonderful gifts. I don't normally get bought RPG-based gifts for Christmas, mainly because I've probably bought the things already and it's less of a faff for my partner and my brother to not bother. But my beloved brought me Dialect, which comes in this book and this deck of cards. I've yet to play it, but it looks lovely. The concept is it's about building a language, and it sounds awfully grim to say, and watching it die, but it's watching the evolution, the change, the assimilation, and how it adapts over time. This is a game by Catherine Himes and Hakan Serlaglu. I think I've pronounced that right. I'm really sorry if I didn't. I had a brief look online just to try and get that right, but you never know, unfortunately, with pronunciations of surnames you're not familiar with, which, you know, hopefully Dialect will help with understanding and creating and playing with new words and new languages. But the designers created Sigh, which was a game about creating your own sign language. So I loved the look of that, and Dialect looks really interesting. So I've put that on my list of games to run for this year. Also, I have, now I know Mike's going to like this, Oh, fuck. No. Disregard that. I have the Alien starter set. And my brother bought this for me for Christmas, so thank you, Alfred. I've not really had much of a look in it, specifically because I wanted to do this while being recorded. Cardboard. We have Freely Catalogue, and they make some very, very pretty games. They're a bit more trad than I normally go for, but that doesn't matter, really. They're still very pretty games, and I think, if I remember correctly, people like Gauntlet tend to call it trad-ish, where they've taken elements of story games or more narrative games, and that's pretty cool. I've run Alien once, using just the core book, and it was very cool. Now this, just having a bit of a fiddle here, we have a deck of cards, which is not primarily a card-based RPG, but these cards are a nice little addition to it. I'll be breaking down exactly how the cards work in a review of Alien coming up soon, but we have initiative cards, which are numbered. Can only see 1 to I think that's only half of them, but there are numbers on cards, and that's basically it. We have guns, we have items. Items. We have cast members. If you have a look there, some bits of art, some stats on the back. We have, now this is specific to the starter set, we have agenda cards. Now, the Alien role-playing game has a campaign version, but my preferred method is cinematic, and these are private agendas for the cinematic characters. So at Act 1, you'll be told, hey, here's some basic stuff. As the story evolves, Act 2, as you start reacting to danger, it might go, oh god, you've got to protect people, or, well, protecting people's nice, but if you could get a sample of one of those there xenomorphs, that'd be even better, wouldn't it? So you've got those for the different characters. You have, I'm not going to say with that, that's something fun and nasty. Ooh, and we have the rest of the numbers. So well done, good work. And yeah, more people, more stuff. Now, if this is anything like the version in the book, the adventure in the core book, then you're going to need extra characters. Believe me, you will need extra characters. We have dice. Now these are very pretty. The free lead system being used for this has successes only on a 6. So even though it's similar to Blades in the Dark of get a bunch of dice, roll them, pick the highest, it's a bit less merciful. And one of the reasons is you can get stress, and stress also adds dice. Yes, finally, stress, which I'm sure we've all been suffering from in the last year, is useful. Again, 6 is a success, but oh, what's that? What's that there? That's a face hugger. I showed these dice to my lodger a while ago, and he was like, does that mean I get attacked by a face hugger? Maybe. What it means is you panic, though. You panic and things go wrong. If you're firing a gun, that means you've instantly spent all of your ammo. You're just firing wildly. It might mean that you attack a teammate. It might mean that you're just acting really weird, and that's going to increase everyone else's stress, which means yay bonus dice, but also panic. And it's a lovely mechanic. I really, really rate it. We have, I'm going to be away from you for a moment, and I'm realising the sun's coming round, so after I've done this, you may need a break. But we have a map. Ooh, space. I have no idea how much they've taken from the comics, the books, the extended Alien universe, but it's very pretty. Oh. And yeah, a map of the ship. So that's cool. I'm not much of a maps and squares guy, but I do love a kind of a general map for setting tone, for kind of the abstract fun of it all. We have Chariot of the Gods. This I actually do have, I admit, but it's an interesting looking adventure. It's kind of it's kind of alien-ish, not aliens. They are doing a box set called Destroyer of Worlds, which is a bit more colonial marines and then monsters. One thing I will say, for the very first one, it actually leans a bit more on elements from Alien Covenant, which is half of a good film, and Prometheus, which is not good, but I still kind of like it, where I do a lot of Damon Lindelof's joints. Oh god, the rest of these are slightly squished into the box. So we have characters, pre-made characters, very shiny as you can see there. We have all the details on them here as well, which is quite nice. Always love a well-made pre-gen character. We have, and I'll leave that for last, we have tokens. Now, one of the things I love with the Alien RPG is an unreliable narrator with tokens. It encourages not putting the tokens on maps where the creatures are, but where you think they are. Like with your motion detector, for instance, you might go, oh, it's, you know, up there in the vent, but no, not anymore. It was there when you scanned it, and hopefully it's still there. But as my players found out, that's rarely the case. These things are fast and they are nasty. And get rid of the bottom of it. This is the lovely part of this box set. This is the core book condensed down. This is just the cinematic play section, and to be honest, that's the part I like. It has, let's see, still got beautiful artwork, and it covers the way the rules work. It covers the way the GM runs things. It's the kind of thing where even if I ran a campaign of this, I would want this, oh, look at that, I would want this on the table for my players, just in case they had any rules questions. And luckily, normally they're pretty good for that. Pretty trusting. And yeah, it's basically the Alien book, but littler. And I like that because I don't like carrying massive hardcovers around. I don't need spaceship rules. I don't need XP rules. These characters are not intended to live more than, say, a session. We have lovely critical injury tables. We have, stress and panic. So, yeah, that's always good to have around. As I said, there will be a full review of the Alien role-playing game on Who Dares Rolls very soon. Not the starter set, 'cause I've only just got it, but I will be mentioning this and all of the other lovely little accessories, some of which I do have, in that review. So I'm going to take a quick break and close my blind. Right, well, that's better. I'm a bit less blinded, and it's a bit less of a blob of light around here. So, final acquisition thing before I get onto news. And this arrived literally this morning. I've had mysterious emails from Royal Mail saying your package is on its way. I've been like, what package? What is this? And I completely forgot I did this. So, from Magpie Games, this is the booklet of keepsakes for Bluebeards Bride. Now, Bluebeards Bride is a horror role-playing game. It's a very, very dark role-playing game. It's based on the kind of folk story fairy tale of Bluebeard, who gets married to this to a woman who is the latest of his brides, and she's given the run of his home, apart from one room. And then he leaves on business, and during that time she goes from room to room and eventually ends up at the one room she's not allowed to enter. And she has the keys, she could go in that room. And she does, and depending on the telling, things go badly or worse for her. And this is a role-playing game where you play elements of the bride. So each player alternates taking control of the body of the bride, while the rest of you are merely the voices that are talking to the bride. So her animus, kind of witch side, her mother side, her virginal side. That sounded odd. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that oddly anymore. This is a longer video than I normally do after all, so words will probably stop having any sense soon enough. But this is kind of, I'd say, see it almost like DLC for it. This is things like extra rooms to visit, and each room has representations, each room has horrors and themes. So for instance, Bluebeard's mother's room, which you can see here, has a threat based around motherhood and estrangement. There are mysterious objects for the players to interact with, and there are horrors in there, and it's very slow paced, very calm, methodical and horrific game. And I really want to actually run it or play it at some point. I've not got round to yet, partly because of nerves really, partly because it always feels weird going, yes, I'm, you know, going to be talking about a lot of very specifically female horror as a guy, and trying not to kind of be disrespectful or be shitty about any of that kind of stuff. But this year, who knows, hopefully at Halloween I can rip the plaster off and actually get to play it. There are even some fun alternate settings, so this provides some extras to all of that, which go into a more modern environment. So yeah, it looks really interesting, and this was just a little bonus book which sounded like it was going to be a bit more of a limited run thing, so I ordered that. I have the PDFs of the main book and the rest of it all. I should probably actually get physical versions of it now that I've got that as well. Anyway, quickly going on now, we have news. So role-playing news. We're in January now, start of January, and Zine Quest is almost on us, and I love Zine Quest. Zine Quest is a Kickstarter project where people write smaller role-playing products. Like this, to be honest, is about the kind of size of a lot of the Zine Quest books. It's given us things like Green Dawn Mall, which again is reviewed on the site. It's a kind of surreal, not dungeon crawl, but mall crawl, and was a real joy to play. It gave us things like there are zines like the fan favourite, which is a supplement for masks. There was the Songs of the Axe and Fiddle as an expansion for the beautiful Fall of Magic role-playing game. And the Gauntlet community, well, Gauntlet Publishing, who spun out of the Gauntlet community, have been giving people support towards making games based on their games. So last year saw a massive surge of games based on trophy, like Candlelight, which is almost like the aftermath of a game of Trophy Dark, or if you ever do a TPK, a Total Party Kill, you can run the aftermath of the souls of the adventurers trying to find peace, trying to leave wherever they fell. And Candlelight looks really beautiful for that. So I've actually got no idea what's coming out in Zine Quest 3, but I'm really excited to see what happens. Like last year, throughout the year, things arrived from Kickstarter and games were played from Zine Quest, so the more of that, the better. There's, let's see, other news. There's a game by Jade Dragon called Sleepaway, and Sleepaway's a GM-less, or I guess GM full game, using the belonging outside belonging system, which at some point I'll be writing up a review of a game using and sending it over to be put up on the site soon. So I'll get into it a bit more there. But Sleepaway is about camp counselors in a haunted wood. It's kind of, it feels a bit like a spookier Gravity Falls in a way, but in a camp counselor sort of setting. And there's an expansion for that able to be pre-ordered now called The Uncanny. And that looks really beautiful. J-Dragon makes some very, very pretty games. There's also a jam on itch.io called the Gatsby Jam, because now Great Gatsby is in the public domain, so the Gatsby Jam is for people wanting to make a game out of any part of it and rip anything from the pros, because you can do that now. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to come from that. It's ending soon, but the jam and the collection of games that come from that will be available, even if Mike puts this video up later than the jam closes. So I think that's it for me for now for news. So I guess just the last bit of board games and other media. I've taken up a really stupid challenge this year. I've decided I've got 160 board games in the house. Like, I made a list going, we keep dithering about what to play, what not to play. And my partner said, you know, do you reckon these could all be played actually in a year? And that got me thinking. And now I have a spreadsheet, as I often do. And in this case, yeah, I'm going to see if I can play all 160 board games this year. So if there are sequels to this video, I'll provide an update. At the moment, as of January 9th, the date of recording here, I've played 2. So I need to work on this. The games I played were Hue, which is a kind of little gum packet style colour matching game, which is very nice, although it's been a while since we played and we're playing on a teeny space. So I might give it another go anyway, just for the hell of it. And last night, nearing midnight, my partner and I are like, do you want a game of Ganjon Clever? And that's how this game gets you. Quite often we've had a bit of a quiet moment, not been sure what to do, and yeah, it's very compulsive, very lovely, nice little game. Rolling dice, filling in things, boxes on a bit of paper. It feels a bit bingo-ish in a way, but it's got that very compulsive element of crossing things off. It's themeless, but in a way like Six Nymph, where it goes all the way back round to being really enjoyable for someone like me who normally just loves theme over anything else. It's either all theme or just crossing off some numbers. Oh, and I don't have it here because I can't find a case, but Mike was talking about Jaws a little while ago, and I was saying to my partner, oh yeah, for someone who loves sharks, never seen Jaws, and just picked up bits through cultural osmosis. So she bought me a Blu-ray of Jaws for Christmas. So I guess the closest representation I have is this lovely shark slipper. Yeah, turns out, good film. Good film. It doesn't mess around. Even though it's calmly paced and follows this increase of tension as the people that know there's a problem are trying to get it sorted out. The people in charge just want the economy to thrive and don't care about human life. I mean, unimaginable in the real world, of course. But yeah, that film, definitely recommend if, like me, somehow you've gone 40 years without ever actually seeing it. So yeah, for once I've actually taken Mike's odd old man recommendations and found a good one, so well done. The other thing I've seen recently is Karate Kid, because I wanted to see Cobra Kai and figured I have no memory of Karate Kid. Like, my main memory is that I saw it when I was 8. There was a friend of mine called Dan who kept calling Daniel-san, and while we were watching it, a fox came to visit in the front garden, so we just spent time with that instead. So yeah, so I went back to that, and again, it actually holds up, and pretty good fun movie. So nothing interesting or new to recommend, but those two, if you've not seen them or not seen them in decades like me, give them a go. That's it with me. So I'd best let Mike out of the basement because I have no idea how to edit this. And yeah, hopefully you'll see more of these coming soon. If there's anything you want to know or have discussed role playing wise, then get in touch on the comments or pester Mike, however you normally pester Mike, and we'll see what we can do.